All right, it is February 2nd at 6:06 PM, and I call the meeting to order. We are going to go ahead and take attendance. Let's see, Scott Gillette. Jane Lyon. Present. Lynn Moore. Present. Rhonda Nyberg. Here. Adele Torres. Here. Timothy Hamilton.
Here.
Patrick Estes. And we had a new member, I don't have the list in front of me, Emily, was it Emily? Emily is not here. Okay, all right. And do we have any audience participation today? No? All right, we are gonna go straight to it. Item 2A, discussion and action regarding the recommendation of park projects for the Parks Bond.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Laura Presley. I'm a landscape architect with Kimley Horn. So tonight we're going to go through a little bit of background information, and then we'll talk through some priorities and have discussion. So background on this project, we adopted a new master plan in 2021. Since 2021, we have been working on updates to that master plan document based on feedback from you all as well as City Council during various workshops and sessions together. So what you'll see before you tonight are concepts and cost estimates that have been developed as a group based on the feedback y'all are getting from the community and your priorities as well as City Council feedback and priorities. So does anybody have any questions before we dive in on like the master plan, how we got here, what any of this means? Feel free to ask questions during too, but great, we'll jump right in. So last year, or I think it was actually December of 2024, but at the end of 2024, beginning of January 2025, we met and identified some potential bond priorities for both bond or remaining 2021 bond funds. So the priorities that came out of that for future bond were first, to complete the William Houston Field redevelopment and parking. So that is the softball field that y'all see here. We worked with City Council to identify that a softball field was the desired improvement, the orientation in order to make sure that it's sized appropriately for softball and baseball, and including some practice backstops as well so that there can be other use going on during games or practices. We've also included an expansion of parking to serve the new use in order to provide extra spots and better parking circulation. So you'll see that included in kind of the area one on your exhibit. The second priority that was identified was also at William Houston, redoing the playground. So as part of our master plan update, we completed playground assessments. Those were done by a certified playground safety inspector, and it identified various hazards at all of the playgrounds in the city, and William Houston was one that you all read the reviews on and read the inspection report on and deemed necessary for replacement. So we've included that as priority number 2. Moving on to priority number 3, previously we identified Willow Creek Park, the existing dog park, expanding that from a 2-bay to a 3-bay dog park, allowing the city the opportunity to rotate a closed bay in order to let the sod recover after heavy use. The next priority was at Highland Station, so also looking at that dog park, providing some improvements and expansion there, as well as providing additional sport courts, including basketball and pickleball that you'll see on the concept. Next up, we actually jump back to Willow Creek for number 5 for additional pickleball courts and parking. This is just north of the dog park on the south side of Willow Creek. And then the last priority that we identified was the Highland Station Trail extension over to Basswood. So if we want to run through each park individually, the exhibits that you have are in order of priority, so both the cost estimate and the concepts. And then there are some additional items that we've developed over the past few months with city staff that you're welcome to consider as well.
And these cost estimates are updated, they're not the 2024 cost estimates that we had?
Correct. So they've been updated. They each include the costs that you'll see as indirect cost, which is survey, design, construction documents, bidding, and construction phase services. You'll also see an inflation cost as well as a 20% contingency cost included. And that's included for each of the different areas individually in every cost estimate. So looking at William Houston, as you can see on the exhibit, we have the new softball field. It also includes concession and restroom building, bleachers, covered seating areas, pavilions, the new playground and new parking, and then an optional kind of future phase expansion for a secondary kind of nature-themed playground, as well as pickleball courts. So you'll notice the cost estimate for the Area 1, which was listed as Priority 1, is sitting at $4.675 million. And then the cost estimate for Area 2, which is the playground, is sitting at $2.2 million. So for this, if y'all were to move forward with Area 1 and Area 2, it would be a high-impact project, and it would be generally the full amount of the bond. Of course, there might be items that y'all decide to eliminate that would represent cost savings, but as shown today, you're looking at just about $7 million total cost for the fields, parking, and playground.
And Laura, you're saying, sorry, Trenton Tidwell, Killenhorn. When you're saying generally the amount of the bond, you're saying based off the last council meeting where they penciled in 6 million as like a placeholder amount? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes. So whenever I refer to the bond amount, I'm referring to 6 million. Of course, if it's different.
Yeah,
it's
which is
different,
not
and we'll
in
work to
our
make-
control at all, but just kind of taking lead from city council.
Do y'all have any questions on this concept or cost estimate?
The size of the field, is it for baseball use as well, or is it just softball? What?
It could be both. So we have managed to fit a 350-foot center line, which is the baseball, which is larger. So softball also fits into that.
And then I'm not sure if y'all were able to check your email. Maria sent us some information with just how many times the field that we currently have in Willow Creek has been rented out and the revenue that we've been getting from renting out that field as well. So just for this year, it looks like for 2026, there's been 105 rentals with field fees, lighting fees, total collected fees of $4,275, and that's just for the month of January. And there's some other numbers on there as well if you guys want to check that out, just to give you kind of a baseline on the use that the current baseball field gets and the revenue that we're getting back from it.
The pickleball courts, if,
Yes.
let's say pickleball's a fad that passes, or there's, that's something that's, I imagine is similar to a tennis court. It's gonna be concrete. It's not something that we could easily plop something else in place of. Have you seen people take multi-use options for pickleball courts for what to do if they're no longer utilized, or to bring in extra excitement about that area, or so it can be utilized if pickleball's just a fad that passes?
Yes, so right now in Saginaw, actually, y'all have your tennis courts also striped for pickleball, so they can serve that multifunction. You could also look at the type of coating and striping that you're doing and potentially incorporate basketball. You'd want to kind of look at the dimensions and sizes and make sure that you could get appropriate like half courts or full court in. And I don't have those sizes off the top of my head, but similar surfacing and purposing, so it could be multi-use. Yes.
For the playground structure, do we know how many, this estimate, do we know how many, I forget the name of the towers, how many towers are going to be in that playground structure? Like how many slides? Do we have that kind of detailed information, or is it just kind of a blanket amount for a typical playground structure of that size?
It is just a blanket amount right now for a typical playground of this kind of size and footprint. So whenever we got to, let's say y'all opt to do this, you want to do William Houston, Area 1 and Area 2, then we would move into design and we would come to y'all with playground options, model images, renderings, so that you could evaluate what equipment you're actually selecting to go in there, what type of theming you want to see. So right now, this is very much a high-level concept. We're not doing equipment selection or like final finish selection on anything. So the cost estimate provided is based on the square footage of the playground and generally aligning with what's out there now, making sure that we're providing an equivalent or greater play value.
Does anyone have any other questions regarding anything in William Houston Park?
Do we have a way to look at community interest? It sounds like we have some information around the current field has high usage, high demand for that space. The community would be very interested potentially in this $650,000 allotment for the softball field. Do we have a way to get at least a gut feeling towards whether that would be an interest or that would be likely to be utilized?
They did research last year or before with public input, and they listed the priorities, which was the last time we voted was based on.
Great, we can move on to the next option. So, I'll flip this over. Priority number 3 was in Willow Creek, so that's expanding the dog park. On the south side of the park. You'll see that in, I think it's orange right now. And so that includes the dog park expansion. For reference, the new playground that you see on this has been discussed as a priority for the remaining bond funds, so it's not included, I don't believe, in your cost estimates at this point. The playground that's just north of the switch yard. It's a blue playground.
Yeah, that's the dog park playground that we've been calling it, that we passed. I believe it was 116 to be able to replace. So that's why it's going to be taken out of that area 5 of the dog park, because we've already addressed that issue.
We're talking about a dog park one, or are we talking about this one that's right here, just north of the Swiss Yard? Because there's that one that's,
I apologize, I just misspoke. We do still have the playground and the dog park in the cost estimate. So right now, that's about $460,000 that would come out of that area 5 cost estimate. Assuming it was able to be fully funded by 2021 bond,
Okay.
which,
So then in area 5, playground, the structure, rubberized surface, drainage, all of that can come out of this cost estimate that's at 3.17 million.
that's correct.
Okay.
so again, I'm sorry, just to verify, you were talking about this one here, or are you talking about?
That's correct, the first one that you pointed at. Mhm. Yes, ma'am. So in this option is included the dog park expansion that would be new sod, new play equipment, agility equipment, fencing, as well as shade structures, seating for pet parents, pet waste stations, and then additional sidewalk connections to the trail system that's in Willow Creek.
Would this estimate tackle the problem of flooding that we have? Is there going to be a whole I don't know what it's called with the land, is it going to be raised?
Grading.
Is it not?
So we could potentially address some of that, but it is in the floodplain, so it's
It's
not gonna
gonna
be a
happen.
100%. We can do our best with grading to make sure that as much of the dog park as possible is gonna stay as dry as possible.
Okay,
But realistically, it's pretty much immediately adjacent to that creek and in the floodplain, so,
there's only so much we
It's-
can do.
exactly.
Okay,
The floodplain in that area goes all the way up to Knowles. And unfortunately, you're not allowed to just fill in the floodplain, so if we were to fill in, we'd have to dig it back out somewhere else.
okay.
To not get slapped on the wrist by the FEMA floodplain people.
Thank you.
Laura, that area 5, if you take out that playground, the new total is 2.5 or 2,520,000.
Thank you.
And I reduced the indirect, the inflation, and the contingency as well for that playground.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Chairman Torres.
Yes.
So, Member Estes had a question earlier regarding whether we had polled our community on their interest in parks. So I am going to share the results from a 2022 survey that was sent out. And it shows percent that are interested in like city parks and walking trails.
Chairman Torres, I could expand briefly on what you're looking at. So we didn't specifically ask of what they were looking for in parks, but we did ask residents, looking at city facilities as a whole, what is your most important to you? The first two were walking trails, in the order, city parks and walking trails were number 2, followed by the library. So if we should make that thing across the street a big park now, just according to this. And you can see 56% were for city parks and 40% are for walking trails. So this is what we have that just thought about top of my head when the gentleman asked the question.
Okay. Thank you, this is helpful.
And this is available on the city website. You just quicker way to get to it is click survey in the search box, and it's the 2022 dashboard.
Okay, perfect. Does anyone have any other questions regarding the dog park in Willow Creek? No? Okay, I think we're good to go on to the next one.
Awesome. Up next, we'll move to Highland Station. So flip a couple of pages. So on Highland Station, the first priority, which is the 4th priority overall, was the dog park area, renovating and expanding that existing dog park, and then expanding the available sports courts to include pickleball. Something to note on this is we are keeping the existing tennis court and existing basketball court. That was some feedback from one of our last meetings reviewing the concepts, was to just keep those as they are. Additionally, we don't include any changes to the skate park in the kind of first phase, But in your cost estimates, you'll see there's a separate kind of line item down at the very bottom of the William Houston cost estimate. I think it's on the second page of the cost estimate. That's for kind of a skate park renovation. It was brought up a little bit at the last meeting, and it wasn't clearly identified as a high priority item, but wanted to include that in case there's been more discussion, so that you have that to consider. This dog park expansion would be similar to Willow Creek. It would only be 2 bays just on the space that's available and trying to minimize the amount of existing trees that we impact, but would still provide new fencing, new sod, new agility equipment, pet waste stations, shade structures, seating. So you're getting the same scope of amenities that you would be getting in Willow Creek, just slightly smaller.
Sorry, just back to the last one we were discussing. I see lots of mention of switch yard expansion, but I didn't hear anything about it when we were talking about at the dog park. Is that coming up in one of these further topics?
So the switch yard expansion has been completed with the 2021 bond funding.
Oh, there's no
So
additional switch yard
there's no
expansion.
additional expansion proposed as part of this. Right now,
Thank you.
the existing expansion now is the third pavilion and kind of that decomposed granite, and then a third food truck loop that was added.
Perfect, thank you.
Have we, have we gotten much public, I know you had the graph that you shared a little bit ago, but anybody else heard from anybody in the community about being unhappy with the way the dog parks are? Or do you feel like they are in need of renovating? I just don't see very many people out there. So I really hate to take away from play spaces where families could play in order to make a dog park, upgrade a dog park that might not be used as much. Just curious. Any feedback from people who use dog parks?
Anecdotally, it's all been related to irrigation. Oh, maybe I'm not close enough. Just anecdotally, with drainage issues with the dog parks, people say whenever they want to go, it's just muddy. They don't want to take their dog to the dog park and get muddy. But it sounds like we have challenges we'd have to overcome that would probably be fairly expensive and fight nature. That's definitely feedback I've heard.
So that would be the deal with the expansion is you would have one yard that would stay closed so that the grass would grow, and then use the other park, and then once that's ready to change over, you change over and let the grass grow and stuff. Okay.
Even Highland Station location specifically too. It just sounds like it's a natural component of dog parks unless you're putting turf down.
I think weather plays a big part, you know, if it's raining, if it's muddy, like he said, if it's muddy, or even in the summer when it gets really dry, the ground cracks and, well, dogs have fallen through and, not fallen through, but you know, when the cracks are big enough, have you seen it? Trying to walk through, and it's kind of scary. So people stop taking their dogs. So I think if it were nicer, more people would get out there. That was my thought.
Yes, this dog park conversation originated from, there were problems with the fencing that were needing to be replaced, and then there was discussion of it being muddy and not having the opportunity to ever grow and be like a vigorous grass that would be in the space. So that is where it originated, but happy to pivot always.
I do want to say I agree with the concept of if it's a lost cause or it's not a high interest item, which we're seeing, it's very lowly ranked on how important it is, and it has a low percentage review of it being poor. I just want to say, regardless of the anecdotes I shared, I want to agree that I think prioritizing the dog park sounds very low on the list. And maybe a lost cause in a lot of ways, if we're fighting nature and we're not winning, and there's no interest. Just my opinion.
I know I have seen some commenting online about the poor conditions of our dog park. I was wondering, Jared, if you know if you get more complaints about the Willow Creek Dog Park or the Highland Station Dog Park, or do you not really get complaints about the dog parks?
I think there's more traffic in the Willow Creek Dog Park than there is Highland Station. So a lot of our maintenance issues is weather related, like was discussed by Rhonda. You know, a lot of our complaints there, some of it's uncontrollable
Okay,
type situations.
all right, thank you. And from this section in Highland Station, we can theoretically mix and match. We can pull the dog park out and just do a dog park and not do sports courts, or we can pull it out and just do the sports courts and not do the dog park, right? It's not that area 2 has to be completed as is presented right now.
That's correct. So these areas are based on our past discussion of priorities, but if you want to do 2 pickleball courts instead of 4, if you want to do, you know, just a touch-up to the dog park, add a new equipment piece, you know, you can do whatever improvements you would like to see, and we can adjust the scale of those improvements based on how much you'd like to spend.
Yeah, I'd add, though, if you go back to that recording, pickleball was also like second to last as what people wanted us to prioritize as far as what they wanted as enhancements. Just if you're looking at the graphs too, just put it out there. Yeah, there's actually another report, if you pull it up, for what people want us to invest in there, like future investments. You go back to like new investment priority down there, just below that. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, pickleball was, yeah, third to last.
Okay.
I don't understand how it's third to last because I play pickleball and we go to Lake Worth all the time and it's so hard to get on their courts. And every pickleball place that you have to rent the courts, it's hard to even rent the courts because there's so many people trying to play. Like you have to go online and rent the courts. So I disagree with that. I believe that pickleball courts are more of a priority. There's a lot of people that play pickleball and would like to have pickleball courts in this area.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think this recommendation, I think they had a very low turnout, unfortunately. And, but I hear from people, they're constantly wanting pickleball courts. So that I would imagine would be higher priority than what that says.
And this was from 2022? Okay,
Yeah. It's gotten much more popular since then, obviously,
okay.
for sure.
There's lots of commercial development around
Yeah.
pickleball too. Even if we're having that much development, there's still not enough space for people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I go to pickleball, play pickleball, indoor pickleball, Court Kitchen. They're now building one over there by like Target. I don't know if that one's opened yet. I think so. But like Court Kitchen, it's hard to get in because a lot of TCU students go there. The indoor pickleball, you know, and it's kind of a drive, and when you're trying to go after work, the traffic's horrible. And we go to Lake Worth, and it's packed. So I believe pickleball courts are more of a higher priority. I mean, I don't know who was voting on these things, maybe just, you know, you never know who's doing these surveys or whatever.
And especially it's from 2022.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think they said like 75 people.
It's definitely the trendy sport right now for people who are playing, but multi-use courts right now are probably one of the best options because, like, I play tennis and I love to go play tennis, and if I can't get on a tennis court, you know, a lot of times it's because somebody's playing pickleball. So.
Do they not have?
Agreed. I like that we've kind of been going in the direction of the multi-use courts. Because we have a court at Highland Station that's multi-use, and then we just passed to do the pickleball lines, the resurfacing of the tennis court, so it's dual use. So I agree, where we can, if possible, make it a dual use court.
Has the board recently or at all considered street hockey? setting up some sort of rink?
No,
for
I don't
that,
think
or
so. Not to my knowledge.
Multi-use space to allow for that?
We used to
There's-
have a street hockey
Yeah.
field, which is now where the skate park is, because no one used used it as the hockey.
I think that's the thing with hockey, is the people that would want to use it, it's such a low demand thing, it'll peak and it'll fall. If we had a multi-use space that would be allowable for that, like if we're just expanding the pad a little bit further to be the right size, or the right people could come out and utilize it. I'm just trying to think of more value we could add to a multi-purpose place for pickleball, tennis. If the pad's a little bit bigger, maybe we could do hockey too. Just a nugget for later, I guess, then. Thank you.
Maria, did you ever hear anything about that grant? Weren't you working on a grant that was for a multi-purpose area for the tennis court? It was tennis, soccer.
Yes, so they work on funding from other sources. So unless they have funds available, they won't grant the project. So we were just waiting on, we're on a
So
wait
that's
list.
just still waiting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Unless they have funds, they won't award anything. So right now it's at a standstill.
Okay.
But yes, we did. It was called the mini pitch field.
Mini pitch.
Yes.
So I'm looking at some of the differences in the pricing on the pickleball courts at Highland Station, noticing 150,000 each. But then when I see over at, I believe it was William Houston, it was 100,000 each. So is there a difference based on the site, or? It's a 3 pickleball court deal for 300.
I am not sure, but I will look into that and see what the discrepancy is.
I like the 100,000 better, just
It's-
saying. But I don't know what's more accurate or not.
It's
so.
possible it's the fencing that's the difference, because you would have 2 full separate perimeter fences on the Highland
The
Station.
On the forecourt.
On the forecourt, as opposed to the 3-court would be 1 perimeter
One.
fence
Okay,
around
that
all
makes
3.
sense.
So I think that's the difference, but I'll look into it
Okay.
to make sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. Thank you.
So if we're looking at lighting on the pickleball courts, we're looking at letting them stay open past dark for after dark play?
Yes, this lighting is for after dark play, so in the wintertime, you can stay open until, 9 PM, 8 PM. Y'all would obviously, the city would have the ability to set whatever the hours would be. And then in the summertime, you could say sunrise to sunset and not utilize them.
I did want to say something on that. The one at Lake Worth, it has a timer that you turn
Oh, nice.
while you're playing at night, so lights
Turns
are on,
off.
and it will turn off, and you have to go back over there and turn it back on. I don't remember how long the timer is, but it does have that timer.
So I'm looking at the placement, and it's just diagonal from the apartments. And then the field across, there's homes across there. Highland Station Park is, and maybe that's the case with all linear parks, is a sound tunnel. And sound is amplified. So I'm wondering if, I don't think that berm extends I'm just concerned for the people, I don't live across from the proposed pickleball, but other people might hear it. Is there a way to, like, just go out there and just casual, you know, do some pickleball hitting around and kind of go across to where homeowners are? And then where the apartment is, and just kind of see what kind of sound issue that might be. Because if people are playing after dark, and it just might be a sound.
We can definitely complete a site visit and look at that. I will say there are not a lot of location options in Highland Station.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a matter of evaluating what solutions we could
Yeah.
provide, not necessarily can we move the court.
Those courts, if I'm acclimated here correctly, those courts would actually be over towards the school's football field.
Yeah,
And so the only thing that would even, there's a green belt and then there's apartments on their side, so they
Right.
actually won't bump up against anybody.
yeah. But just across that field, there are some homes, that backyard,
But that's
or across
south,
from
That's
there.
the-
that's south-southwest, so your prevailing winds would theoretically blow
There you
the
go.
sound more that way towards the school,
Good.
theoretically.
Thank you for that input. That's what we needed. That's what we needed, is
No problem.
to make sure that we're helping everybody be a good neighbor.
I imagine if they don't complain about the basketball
there's actually-
court, because I lived right across the street from the basketball court. I used to live across the street from the basketball court at Willow Creek, and it never bothered me. When I was outside, I heard it, but it was okay. It was not bad, but inside, I never heard it. And I was pretty close.
Great point, because how much more noise is pickleball going to make compared to the skate park and the basketball court right there?
Well, and the existing tennis court is also striped for pickleball and used for pickleball. I've seen people out there using it before.
And to my knowledge, we haven't had any noise complaints with the pickleball or the tennis. Have we, Jared, in Highland Station?
No, we haven't received.
Okay, that's good to know, too. Perfect.
Perhaps some additional trees between the pickleball courts and those backyards might just be some future proofing of that complaint.
Definitely.
So for Area 4, the skate park, is that adding on to the existing skate park? Is that renovation? What's the scope of that?
So it's renovation with some expansion. So it is
Okay.
not a large expansion. It's generally the same footprint, but adding a little bit of room for some additional equipment kind of on the existing edges where there's open space. But that's definitely something that we're open to feedback on. We just sort of broached the surface of it at our last meeting, so wanted to include some line items for that so that y'all could start to see if that's a higher priority. I'm not sure what feedback has been received by y'all or by city staff on it, but
How would $700,000 allowance towards park design, what would that be going towards? Would that be for a third party, a different vendor or subcontractor to come out and make recommendations and architectural design?
yes, so that would be for a specific like skate park design group, and then any other specialties that were required outside of that. But that allowance could go up or down based on the scope of the skate park improvements. We've aimed on the conservative side with this since we're still very early days.
Fair.
But if it was just a desire to replace the equipment, then you would be looking at a lower cost versus if you decided to double the size of the skate park, it could potentially be a higher cost.
Thank you. With the 1.2 million, is that just pretty much the same footprint with equipment? Or what would be changing equipment-wise for 1.2 million?
Go play
It would
pickleball.
be replacement of existing
this be
equipment
too
that
far?
needs to be
You're
replaced,
like thinking, oh,
and
I wanna
then
play pickleball,
additional
but
equipment
dang it, I don't
in
want to
some of the
do it.
expanded areas.
Would
So
that be concerned to
we,
you? You'd either have to park here
here, I'll
or park
walk
here.
this way.
and
Thank you.
walk in. Expanding into kind of a, like, I just don't know what the distance is, you know, in these.
kind of character spaces, and just providing 2 to 3 more pieces of equipment, ramps, rails, that type of thing.
Gotcha. No one's considering digging or bowls or anything like that?
No, this does not factor in doing like a bowl or any like large feature.
Okay, thank you.
It's similar to what's out there right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Laura, could you repeat the type of equipment that you were just talking about? You said replacement of rails, and what were the other?
Rails and like the board, I'm not a skater, so I don't know the names for
Yeah, I
these
don't know
things,
the
but the
terminology.
boards and things that are
Okay.
on, right now, there are a number of like concrete pieces that then have like boards and rails attached that would need replacement.
Okay.
And when we put that in, it was like a phase. It was something like 3 or 4 phases, and we only got to something like phase 2 on that. Do you remember that?
I don't, but I remember talking about it.
That was years ago.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, there was talk about a potential bowl, but we kind of nixed that because the cost of the cement and everything was just exponential. I can't remember what the figure was, but it was a lot of money. Right?
Yes, I don't remember the figure off the top of my head either,
It
but
was
I'm
a lot.
remembering what you're talking about.
Do you know how far a walk it is from the parking lots to where the pickleball court would be, number 1? And number 2, is this concrete pad already there, or does that concrete pad need to be?
It would be a new concrete pad, and it's a 5-minute walk, maybe,
5-minute
if you're moseying.
Okay.
It's typically, if you're hoofing it to the existing court, I would say it's 2 minutes.
So how much would it cost if, let's say, we just did the pickleball court?
If you want to do the pickleball court and no like shade structures, no lighting,
like-
or,
Just everything that's included in that pickleball area.
sorry, you're gonna see me do some quick math real quick.
And in the cost estimates, it's listed for 4 pickleball courts. You know, we can cut that in half too, to help cut with cost. We can just do the 2 pickleball courts as opposed to doing all 4.
Rough estimate, I would say 2 million. The-
That's with the 4 court?
That's the, for a 4-court, with the lighting that we have shown. So those 2 items are like 1.1, and then when you start to add in grading and mobilization for a contractor, erosion control, those types of things, I think you'd end up closer to the 2 million.
And that's in the works at Willow Creek, right?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that there's the grant that was discussed that is awaiting funding to become available for the mini pitch that would be multi-use, multi-function.
So who knows, that could be like 20 years.
So currently in Willow Creek Park, we don't have anything lined for pickleball, but we did just pass to resurface the tennis court, which I'm not exactly sure if it's been
It
completed or not,
includes
but we are doing the
striping.
dual lines.
It includes the pickleball.
Yes. So you will be able to play pickleball on the Willow Creek tennis courts.
Yeah, your court summary right now is 2 in Willow Creek, 1 in Highland Station. Those are the pickleball courts that are city-owned and operated courts.
Okay.
And as of right now in Highland Station, we have the 1 tennis court that is lined for pickleball. So there's only 1 in Highland Station currently.
Correct.
Okay.
So could it be possible to build 2 pickleball courts in Willow Creek and 2 in Highland Station Park
Yes.
to cut cost?
So what would that cost be, approximately?
If you were going to do 2 in Willow Creek and 2 in Highland Station,
How much each?
I would say each would probably be around $1 million, rough cost estimate.
1 mil?
Yeah. Yes, but if you were to do 2 courts at Willow Creek and then 2 courts at Highland Station. All in, yeah. Yeah, around $1 million per. Okay.
Per court or per park?
Per park. So
Okay.
that would be your 2 courts and the fencing and lighting at both. So on the subject of Willow Creek Park pickleball, that's the 5th priority that y'all had previously identified, was providing those courts that are on the south end of Willow Creek, but north of the existing dog park location. So that would include new courts and a parking expansion to accommodate the proposed courts. Again, if y'all wanted to change the number of courts, change the location of the courts, that's absolutely up for discussion. But that was the 5th priority that y'all had identified, was the addition of 4 pickleball courts, 2 basketball courts, and then a small amphitheater space as kind of priority number 5. I think I said 4 earlier, but we're on 5.
Just going back to the William Houston Park concept with those pickleball courts, there's really no pickleball in that quadrant of Saginaw currently right now. So that would be such a benefit to have something in that vicinity. This one. Apologies for going backwards to priority number 1, but since we're talking pickleball courts and where to take some away and add, I just thought
No, I think.
maybe that just kind of highlight for us, that area to make sure we accommodate that section of town too.
Well, and it would be a high-impact project if you redid the entire park and you did the new field, the new playground, restroom concession, pickleball.
Higher impact, like financially, or what do you mean higher impact on the?
Community impact as well as financially, I mean, there is
Yeah.
some cost savings associated with
Doing
not
it
having
once.
to remobilize and,
Right.
doing it all at once.
Yeah.
I think really the impact is more community impact. You have now a brand-new park, basically.
Yeah.
Similar to like Brian Schwingler and Opal Joe.
Yeah.
Those were, I think, high-impact community parks from my perspective at least. Obviously, I'm not a
Yeah.
resident there, but.
Yeah, I love this whole concept because for 2 years now, people have been coming to the board and begging for more softball facilities. And now that pickleball has become more popular, that just seems like it would serve the community and, like you said, community impact, but also the financial impact is kind of big. But it would just seem like that's a wonderful piece of property that the city has right there. There's just not much that we have that's of that breadth left. And what a great, benefit to our community that we could have with those different projects.
Well, and it's something too that if the bond that's passed is $6 million or $5 million, $7 million, we can adjust the scope of improvements to align with that budget. So
Yeah.
right now, I think we have 5 pavilions, maybe you do 2 pavilions, you know. Maybe instead of doing a shaded area that covers 6 picnic tables, you do a shaded area that covers 4. So there are certainly options within this cost, or within this concept, to adjust the cost to what your budget is. Which, that is true of every concept that you have. We can scale up and down appropriately.
Chairman and Board, I'd like to say something. So obviously, this is all set up for the bond election and council to gather information of how we want to present this to the public. So I do feel like it would be good if we did hear from Councilman St. Clair of exactly what council may be wanting information-wise, and that might help us through this process as well.
Okay,
making this
yeah, that sounds good. Welcome, welcome.
Good evening. Okay, so I wrote a few things down, but I think what council is really looking for is not so much a specific laundry list of projects to present to the public, but more of a general consensus on where the focus should be. So like, we want to put a lot of focus into William Houston, and some of those projects could look kind of like this. And mention improvements, not from a like bullet point item, but just more of a general overall, here's where we would like to focus this money. And there can be some specifics in there. But the first bond that was passed, or the 2021 bond that was passed, was $4 million. And we were able to address Highland Station, 2 playgrounds at Highland Station. We were able to do Opal Joe and Brian Schwingler. We were able to do the switchyard expansion. So there was this big laundry list of things that we were able to accomplish with it. And I think it's important to show that when the public entrusts the Parks Board with money for improvement projects, that money is well spent, it's considered, it's a good investment. Not that you're going to get money back from it, but that your quality of life is improved, and it doesn't matter where in the city you live, people felt the impact of that $4 million. And I think if we get too burdened down into we're going to spend the money on a baseball field and a playground improvement at William Houston, I think that locks everything into it's going to be a yes or no proposition, and you're just going to be at the point of where people are going to be like, well, would I utilize that particular feature? And that's going to determine my yes or no vote. And I'm speaking as one person on council. That's how I'm kind of viewing that. And I think there's some similar sentiments there. One thing I would really encourage is that, one, any improvements at Highland Station, when we first came out with the Parks Master Plan, there was a lot of people from the neighborhood that showed up that said parking is a no-go. We don't want expansion of parking. What we want is trail connectivity and being able to walk into the park, but we don't want people to be able to drive into the park. Because I don't know if you remember, but there was the parking lot that was suggested for the skate park so that people could get to it easier. And there was a big backlash against that. And I think that would continue to be relevant today. I don't think that would be a good use of money or yeah, I think we need to stay away from that.
Are you talking about parking, or are you talking about putting
Park-
items into William Houston because they're harder to get to for some
No,
people?
I'm talking about specifically for Highland Station. Any improvements in there should not be parking.
Okay.
Because the residents of that area have spoken very clearly that they don't want it expanded. The 2.2 million on the playground improvements seems a little high to me. But one thing that we're doing kind of with the animal shelter is we're looking at the recommendations, and then we're going, well, I don't know that we can get to that point, but we know we have to build an animal shelter. I kind of view park improvements in the same light. We were able to get so much more done with the 4 million than what was on budget for. Like, you look at the projects that we did far and away more than we thought we could get done for that. And so I would encourage y'all to look at this the same way. If there's 2.2 million for a playground, well, maybe we put 1.5 towards it, or kind of bookmark it for that, and know that we're going to be able to get a decent playground that maybe it doesn't have some of the amenities that were proposed. Maybe we'll have to cut back on some of that, but we're able to accomplish something with that. And it doesn't take up a third of, or more than a third of the bond money that we would have at that point. I think if there's any project that I think it needs to go as far as it can. And
So quantity over quality?
not necessarily.
Some of that, Brack, too, like kind of what you're talking about is you could, as we keep focusing on applying for grants and stuff, you could think of some of this money as more of like the matching funds rather than the entire cost. So ideally, you can get some cost savings there too.
Yes.
Can I say back what I'm hearing, just to confirm, just
Sure.
to make sure? Okay. Sounds like we have a task of zooming out a little bit right now to say we don't need to present the great specifics, because that's going to create conflict. It's going to get things muddy. Maybe we just speak to the higher level goals that we're trying to solve with this, so we don't get too caught up on the details. Maybe then hearing that, we're talking about 1.5 versus 2.2 for playground improvements. At this point, we're just earmarking funds, and this is just a line item helping us estimate it. If we are earmarking 2.2 for playgrounds, but it's going to create issues with us actually getting the money we need, we can put whatever numbers we need to, ethically, obviously, for other items that we might consider instead of that playground improvement. And once we get closer, we could finally go down and do our cost versus benefits and cost offsets at that point. So for right now, would it help you in your position to help sell this if we review some specifics on some of these numbers? Or is it just that we need to talk about the high-level goals that this bucket of money is going to support?
Well, I think it's sort of twofold, because like the baseball field is a huge number, and
Yeah.
really, however you slice it up, you're not going to do much more than just that if it's 6 million and you're at, what was it, 4.8? I mean, not,
Yeah.
4.6. So when you're spending 75% of a potential bond on one single project, and that doesn't quite get, like, you've got the 2.2 million that you've got to add to it to get the playground and get the restroom and get the pickleball and all that. That's a big ask.
Right.
So, but I think if you say generally, we're looking at making improvements in these parks, we're looking at improving William Houston, we're looking at improving Willow Creek and Highland Station. And we generally want, eventually, hopefully with this, a baseball field there with pickleball courts, with new playground equipment. Kind of generally say, here's what we're looking at, but specifically mention the parks that you're wanting to improve.
Thank you.
Is that helpful?
Thank you.
Got any questions?
No, I think that's right on the money because we would wipe out our funds. We're at 4.6 for that baseball field, but I would like to tackle that playground. And like you and like Laura was saying, we can find places to minimize. We can minimize tables, benches, chairs. We can minimize how many towers we have on the play structure, how many play structures we do have out there. So there's different ways where we can save costs. And I definitely want to go down that avenue. But to your point, is that something that you would prefer us to do prior to giving this list to council tomorrow? Or again, you just want that generalization of these are the parks that we're wanting to focus on, and then later on, we can do the full breakdown of the money, the fine tuning on what we're putting in, how much it's gonna cost, where we're gonna cut back, and all of that.
I think, I don't really know how tomorrow's going to go. So if you could maybe delineate a few specific projects, and that way, what I can do is I can go back and I can say, well, generally, the overarching interest is we want to improve the parks, and they specifically want to improve William Houston. They want to put a lot of focus there, and maybe do more of a percentage-wise. We'd like to spend, half of our bond money in William Houston, and if that can get us these improvements, then that's great. If it can't, then we still want to improve that park to a point. And I think that might be helpful. That way, either which way it goes, if one council member says, no, I think we need to specifically name, I'm prepared for that. But if everybody's good with, here's kind of the general feel, this is where the Parks Board is looking at, this is based on feedback that we've gotten in recent surveys, and this is where the direction of what we'd like to spend the money on.
Okay. Thank you.
I agree with that.
Appreciate that input.
I just want to put forth a little bit of a concern on the bond itself when it does go out to voters. If it is the will of the council to be very specific listed, saying these funds are specifically used for William Houston Park and William Houston Park alone, I just don't want to paint ourselves into a corner where, we've been really fiscally responsible with these funds, and we had $824,000, I believe, left over from the 2021 that we are allocating to other needs across the city. And if we were being too specific in the wording on the bond, we paint ourselves in that corner where we're not able to allocate any kind of leftover funds to other things that we could improve within the city. So I don't know if that's something that you can relate to council, or,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are able to come tomorrow. I will be in attendance. That's something I can address as well. I just want to make sure that we're not painting ourselves in that corner where we cannot use
Yes.
extra funds if we're being fiscally responsible to allocate to other things. That's just something I just wanted to throw out there.
Well, and that's wise, because once the bond passes, then we need to make sure that the dollar goes as far as it can. And so rather than just, we didn't get stuff done with it, we need to take advantage of the opportunity that we've been given and the trust that we've been given, and spend that money responsibly, and make sure that it affects as much as we can with it. So,
As long as it's a quality build
yes,
and not a lack of and having to be redone in a couple of years.
yes.
Definitely.
If I may, Chair, I've been involved in a few bond elections, and the verbiage is usually pretty broad.
Okay.
As far as saying park improvements. It might list out some parks, but usually not specific dollar figures to a specific park. And they try to write that so there is that ability to, as needs come up. And
Give us that leeway.
Yes.
Because
usually.
that's how our 2021 bond was presented. It was for parks improvements, so we did have that leeway. I was just concerned because in the last city council meeting, there were some council members that were wanting more specific verbiage, and then that's just kind of where I'm having a little bit of an issue, because it should be more of a broad spectrum,
And
but I understand them wanting us to put together a more detailed list of just where our vision is lying on what we're going to do with these funds. So that I completely understand. I just wanted to make sure that it was not specific on the bond just because it was brought up at the last meeting.
And I think part of that was not necessarily that they wanted specifics to be written into the bond language. They just wanted specifics so that they knew, okay, if we pass this thing, what direction is the Parks Board headed with it?
And that's where, if I may, also the other part of it, I'd like to suggest that some of these, because when you look at any one of these sites, it blows the entire bond. I mean, I don't think there's a single one that's under 6 million. And so, I mean, but this is an expansive list, and, you know, is giving us ideas of what could be. But, you know, one of the items that is a key to a lot of these places is safety. Playgrounds, playground safety. So the age of the structures, typically 15 to 20 years is what you get out of a playground structure. So if some of these are exceeding that, we need to definitely be prioritizing that. And we could state that in our, in what we're supporting, is we're supporting the playgrounds, the amenities like pavilions, benches, picnic tables, stuff like that, and then name off a couple of ideas as far as, like, we recognize pickleball is an up-and-coming, it's only gaining momentum.
Absolutely.
But what we actually do with that and where, but you want to give some love to the other regional parks, because Willow Creek, although it's by my house, I love what's been done there, but yes, Highland Station needs attention.
Yeah.
William Houston is, it's in tight amongst the houses there.
It is.
But it has some challenges, and I would be kind of concerned if all of that space was lost to a single field. Because right now, it's functional in ways for soccer, I believe, is that correct? Or is there,
William Houston,
at William Houston?
more softball.
More softball is being used? Okay.
Well, currently, no, there is soccer there. currently,
Right,
yes.
and so having that kind of, that flexibility, because it kind of, although I think it's listed as a regional park a little bit, it seems to me like it has more of a neighborhood park feel. It's on the bigger size, I realize, but, so, you know, taking up all that space with one field, and then also, yes, the price on the playground was a little bit of a sticker shock, but, those are all things that can be massaged as we select the particular, particular one. But yeah, I think the playgrounds are definitely something that needs to be high priority, whatever we say.
Yeah, and speaking onto the playgrounds, would play into the William Houston playground that's there currently. From that needs assessment, that would be one of the things that I believe that we definitely need to tackle with this bond. We need to completely redo it, improve it. There's safety concerns. So I'm with you. I'm sure we've talked about this at length before in past meetings about how important it is to make sure that the safety of the playground equipment is top tier for us. So continuing with these discussions, me personally, that playground is number one on the list for me at William Houston Park.
Chairman, if I may, I'll also add to what you're saying. Staff would also like to recommend and bring up Sagewood Park in Highland Station, the little pocket park. It is in need of a equipment upgrade and resurfacing to the new rubber fall protection type. Right now, it's currently pea gravel, correct, Corey? Yes, so we need to upgrade safety concerns at that park, and also the park at the current softball field in Willow Creek Park. That's right there by the big pavilion. It's in need of upgrade as well, equipment-wise and fall protection. So That would fall in line with what you're speaking.
Perfect. Thank you, Jared.
Repair or upgrade, complete upgrade?
Complete upgrade of equipment
Yeah,
and
replacement.
safety features.
And that softball park, that's the one on the north end of Willow Creek.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Well, yes. In between the softball field and the newest playground on the very north end, yes.
Okay.
The large pavilion. And then at William Houston, what you just mentioned as well, that playground needs to be upgraded.
Okay,
For sure.
thank you.
So if I can ask of staff, so is the move to, because what I'm observing in the quotes here and everything is the PIP, port in place, surfacing. It's extremely expensive. And I'm very familiar with how nice it is to be on, but it also wears and stuff like that. So on your smaller parks that are, like in a little neighborhood and it's a little not used heavily, is that something where like a engineered wood fiber would be okay versus that, or is that just something that's been tough?
I think that 5-bar manufactured wood would be okay, but what we're finding is that we're actually having less maintenance, honestly, with this new. So overall, it's providing a better product
Value.
for us.
Okay.
In the long run.
So one thing, and it may just be a pittance, but one thing to consider is that the voluntary contribution on the utility bills has now doubled. So we'll be potentially, unless people unenroll themselves, we'll potentially be bringing in double what we have in previous years. Is that right, Maria, do you think? Is that a correct statement, that with the voluntary parks donation that's on the utility bills, that we'll be bringing in more funds?
Yes, it went up to, I believe, $2 now.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
yes, I
Yep.
believe your math is correct.
Plus, I have a question. On the approximately $4,200, let's say 40 to 50,000 a year that the city receives from renting out the current softball field in Willow Creek, what are those funds allocated for? Are they allocated in the general fund? Are they for park improvements only, for softball field improvements only?
I'll have to get that full information
Okay.
for you. Yeah, sir.
So what I'm understanding is what you're looking for is a broader vision of what we are suggesting. We want upgrades done on William Houston, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
William Houston, something done at this park and something done at this park, and this thing done. And that's all you want, basically. And then when it comes time for actual work to be done, will they come back and want suggestions more narrowed down to, we recommend these to be done at William Houston, or these to be done?
I believe it is the intent of council to do similar with the 4 million, and if the bond passes, they're gonna look to y'all to go, all right, you've been given the go-ahead on this, so y'all need to allocate this. But council, there are people on council who want more specifics about what that direction is. And I think, to your point, if you say we want to focus on the safety aspect of the playgrounds, make sure that they're upgraded, I think that does two things. One, I think it gives council the reassurance that these projects are going to be, the money is going to be spent wisely. But it also compounds the ask of the citizens that, hey, we recognize that we have these parks that they're not meeting the safety requirements. They have failed some of the assessments. The equipment is getting older. It needs to be replaced, much like Brian Schwingler was replaced and Opal Joe was replaced, and both of the parks at the playgrounds at Highland Station were replaced. The Willow Creek Dog Park. So I think that furthers the narrative that, no, it's not just money that gets dissipated. There's a purpose to it. It's going here specifically, and it's needed. So,
A high-level summary with justification would be what we're looking for here. With the experience of those in this room who've been there, is this going to look something like we say, making like improvements, expansions, renovations on the park's opinions, highest priority locations, not calling any location out specifically, towards the top priorities gauged by the citizens, people that live in our community who have responded to polling, throwing in that sort of justification as well, saying that we're going to be making our decisions based on this. We're not locking it again to specific locations. So acting on high priority goals for the top high priority locations based on safety, based on community feedback we've already received and evaluated. That high level is enough, or do we need to spend time tonight getting more specific?
I think that high level is enough, but as you delve into some of the specifics, I would like some anecdotal information to take back to council as well.
Right. Well, I remember a couple of people on council asking, I think y'all are kind of gathering at the same conclusion where maybe you list your top 3 parks and they may include, you know, your top 5 type of priorities like playground replacements, pickleball, whether that's trails, dog park, upgrades, whatever. Maybe you can word it to where it may include these types of improvements at these priority parks. But I remember it was Nikki, I believe, who said, I want to know what that's going to get me. And that's where I think you're saying, like, the back of the napkin math he wants to see, because a few of y'all mentioned, like, is it 6 million? Is it 8? Is it 5? Like, what am I getting for that? Because the 6 was just penciled in. I think it was a middle number. But I feel like a few people spoke about maybe it's 5, maybe it's 8.
We started it at 5. That was, in all of our planning and everything, that was kind of the number that was being used. And then in the last meeting, it was actually Nikki who suggested possibly going up to 6.
Okay.
But he wanted to make sure that it was
Right.
that he knew what he was getting. He would be fine with it being a larger number, except that he needed to know what he was getting out of it.
Yeah. So could it be kind of 2 things we end up with this meeting of, like, our bond statement, we want roughly to say we prioritize these 3 parks and with these types of improvements, but then to council, you maybe put into buckets or categories of, like, we're planning on spending $1 million on playground equipment or playground replacements. We want to spend, you know, a small portion on trails. We want to then earmark like $1 million for pickleball, or earmark for $1 million for something like that. Is that
Yeah.
what he wants? Or
Yeah.
y'all want?
I think so.
Okay. Just like maybe a 5-line item. This is how we plan to spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You want to say?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Thomas Weaver. I was previously on the board when we first got the 2021 bond election money, and then also served on the bond committee with Rhonda and Adele as well. And so I just came to be helpful and chime in. And I spoke at the last council meeting because I showed up. I saw the $5 million on the agenda. I texted you. I was like, when did y'all decide that? I don't know. And so part of, and I'm glad that I went, and I'm glad that they called me up and let me speak a little bit to that, and then decided. So part of what I came here tonight that I'll explain to you is what I explained to them, which was this is different than last time because of the fact that we have the master plan. Last time we had a master plan that hadn't been updated since 2000. When was the water park built? 2005? 2004. So like it had been, 15, 20 years since it had last been updated. And so part of the money from the last bond went into having the parks master plan completely updated and redone with new features added in and everything. So give validity to what we did last time on this board and with the bond committee for those monies by saying you want details, the details are the plan. Now we can fine tune it. We went through it. We initially got the master plan, and when we first got the money, it was like, man, we're going to do so many great things. And then you realized, okay, we can't do all these great things. You start running into projects that'll eat up the entire bond, right? And you start looking at things. Now, we had $4 million last time without a clear plan. During the course of that, we also got a plan, and we went through those with a fine-tooth comb. Then it went from us to the bond committee, and it went through a fine-tooth comb again. Now it's coming back to y'all, and y'all are going through fine-tooth comb again, all right? So know that as it stands right now, this thing has been combed through a number of times. You're asking good questions, continue to do things, but also know that there has been a lot of work that was already done, questions that were asked, explanations given. And so when you're thinking about those things, think about that. What was the other thing that I was going to? I don't know. I asked Bragg. Bragg doesn't know. But I would say, as far as details, the details are now the plan. It starts with the plan, it ends with the plan. Wherever we go to, if they come with bond money, we need to be able to say we have it. We need to be able to be broad with the terminology that we use because of things like grants that we can't apply for if we don't have funds for. So you can't be real specific. What I believe council is asking is they want some specifics with, not every detail as to what every single dollar is going to be spent on. But if you say we want redevelopment and safety improvements in these 3 parks with additional monies for a general park improvements or grant matching, I think that's the starting point. And then everything comes back to the plan and keeps it updated. So that's it.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? No?
Thanks, Thomas.
Just to add on to this, since we've been talking about going big picture instead of granular and questions about public input, if it's y'all's desire at the time of like selecting a project, let's say you decide we want our first project to be in William Houston, this is what we think we want to do, does the community agree with us? We can incorporate public feedback into the design of the park and do, a town hall meeting or a special called Parks Board meeting to workshop just that park selection. So I don't want you to feel like you're locked into this design as it is. And, you can absolutely solicit feedback through the design process.
Just to speak a little bit to that, for Opal Joe Jennings and Brian Schwingler Memorial Parks, we did hold town hall meetings. Laura knows, she was there, to get feedback on design elements, color choices, because these parks are for the community at large, at whole. So it is really important to get that feedback from everybody. So absolutely, again, with this new bond, we will be doing, I know we need to vote, but I'm pretty sure everybody would be in agreement that it is important to get that feedback back from the community and have those town hall meetings. So thank you for bringing that up again.
So what are we doing tonight? Are we crafting a statement?
I think we're putting together that list of where we want to put our focus. I know that having another baseball field would be great. We would get some revenue back from that, but because of the price point and it would deplete our bond funds, I personally would think about maybe considering that for the next bond election, and we focus on William Houston on that playground structure. I think maybe if we want to go through the parks and pull what is important to each one of us and kind of come up with that list of where we would want to start putting our focus, I think that's the next step here. If anybody else has anything else they want to say or think
I have a
differently.
list, I'll start. I
Yeah,
have
there
a
you go.
list that I'm gonna throw out there.
It's a combination of my years of being here and what I've heard back, the feedback from the community, as well as the fellow board members here, as well as council and community feedback. And that would be to take care of the upgrades, the park upgrades that's obviously needed. If the parks people are saying it, then that means it needs to get done. I trust them. They're in charge, and that needs to happen. Sagewood, you were mentioning Sagewood and William Houston were the top ones that need to be taken care of at this point. Is that where you were?
Yes, and a third one which is where the softball field currently is in Willow Creek Park.
Oh,
There's a
Willow Creek.
playground right there at that pavilion parking lot right there.
Okay. And then also, if possible, to add a couple of pickleball courts in. I'm assuming, we don't have to designate which spot right now. We'll just I would throw out there pickleball courts. And we can hash through where later. And then the other thing that people keep throwing out there is also trails to connect community to these parks, especially the one at William Houston. Since they don't want parking there, we've got to put people there because it's not just a neighborhood park, but it's a community park that from people all around can drive in and use. And also, if you're having to walk 5 minutes in, that makes it hard for people, elderly people and people with special needs, or kids like I have that want to get their kids to these spaces. So places that we can push strollers, ride bikes in, e-bikes and so forth. So that's my list.
Can I ask you you said something about parking at William Houston?
Parking at Willow Vista? Parking?
Oh, Willow Vista?
No.
No, William Houston.
Oh, no.
Highland Station.
Highland, I thought you said William Houston, that's why I was confused. Okay.
Oh, did I say William Houston? Oh, okay, no, sorry, I apologize. No, the Highland Station parking issue, yeah, because of that, trails to Trail come into connections. that would be nice. Specifically, the one they're talking about, the trail, that's the $730,000 one that leads into it From Basswood. from Basswood. I would love more, but take what we can get. To me, it's either that or not put any more new stuff at William Houston if you just can't get people there. If you can't get people there, then it has to be put in a more accessible place. So That's my thought. So current amenity priorities would be, just based on that, your playground upgrades, safety upgrades, additional pickleball, and then additional trail connections. What other amenities are y'all? Speak up, come on.
Is the playground that we're talking about in Willow Creek Park North that needs attention listed on the sheet here that we have? I'm not finding it.
No, it is, yes, sorry, gosh. It is listed on Area 1. So it's with the basketball courts. Yes.
Thank you.
Which, something to consider, could be an unpopular opinion, feel free to disregard, but Willow Creek has a lot of playgrounds. Some of these playgrounds you can just remove. So consider that as an option if you have funds that you want to put towards one new larger playground as opposed to two small playgrounds. Obviously, your direction and your feedback, just want to bring up that demolition is an option, especially in a large park like Willow Creek that has multiple playgrounds.
Okay. I personally think just because that playground is close to where the softball field currently is, there's a
makes
lot of
sense.
family out there, kids playing ball, younger siblings that need a place to play, and for parents to keep everyone wrangled together. So I would, for that specific one, I wouldn't want to necessarily just take it out without a replacement. And again, this is listed in Area 1 of north of McElroy and Willow Creek Park, so we can just pull out the cost for replacing that playground structure without having to add, the bathrooms that's also listed in this cost estimate, and the basketball court and the benches and all of that, and we can just focus specifically on the playground equipment itself, so that it's less of a chunk of money that we're allocating there as well.
I agree with the playground because of also the pavilion that's there as well. So, for me, I have some item categories. So playgrounds, which I count at least 3 that we are talking about: Sagewood, William Houston, and Willow Creek Park there by the softball fields, right? That's the 3 that I'm thinking of. To trail connectivity that was highly rated on the Parks Master Plan back in 2021. But also restrooms. I think restrooms are an amenity that is very helpful in some of these bigger regional parks, Willow Creek being one. Over at Highland Village, I could see that being something that could be needed there too. I see it that it's an item that's on there. And then, of course, any of your smaller amenities like park benches, picnic tables. I say smaller. Pavilions can be expensive, but you can do smaller little 1 or 2 table ones that gives people a value to it. But that would be my areas of focus. And actually, does anyone know the history of why we're switching from, because in the Parks Master Plan, it specifically says soccer for William Houston, and I'm not sure how many others.
Yeah, I know why. Because they had a soccer association, Saginaw Youth Association, I believe it was, were playing there. Actually, you probably know better than I do, but they were playing out there, and they wanted for us to redo it, and it just cost so much money, we just couldn't do it. It was never in our budget. And then I think it just fell by the wayside, and they just stopped playing there. I know why, but
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, potentially in the future, part of the master plan, the Belt Mill area.
Yes.
There's a piece of property that the city has that would really be suitable for soccer fields. So that's something to think about as when it comes to soccer fields in the future. And that's why it sort of went to softball field at William Houston, because of that other property at the Belt Mill area, just north of the bridge there.
Yep.
Okay.
To fill
Which
that
that-
need for the soccer, Belt Mill has been developed, in our master plan, has been developed, I believe it's
Yes.
5 or 6 soccer fields,
The concept is
playground, there's all kinds of
in-laws.
stuff. It should be in the packet.
Yep.
I think.
It is. So it's 6 fields right now of various sizes. And then, of course, the larger fields can be split into more smaller fields depending on what age range you have. But it does include a variety of fields. So the intention was change use at one park, provide the former use at a new park.
it's nice, but it's expensive.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it is.
it is expensive. I'm liking the direction that we're going with, focus on the playgrounds, the safety aspect, and plugging in pickleball where we can, of course, the bathrooms. Does anyone else have anything they want to add or anything they feel passionate about that should be in this list that we haven't previously discussed?
And remember, when we're talking about playground upgrade or money for playground, that is included in things that needed, that to me, that's needed. We want restrooms, benches, so forth and so on, so.
Yeah, the restrooms are expensive, but the benches are not. So we don't have to get into that minutia, but is the council wanting a list or is the council wanting a statement with specific specifics in a broad sense. So I'm wondering how we make a statement, i.e., it is the advisement of the Parks Board that. Is that, would you like a statement like that? I think so. Okay, so I'm just throwing this out there. It is the advisement of the park, after listening to everybody and taking notes, it is the advisement of the Parks Board that the city prioritize improvements at the following parks: William Houston, Willow Creek North, is that right? Am I correct on that one? Highland Station, and did we add Sagewood in as one of those two? Because I think it was number 5 on our priority list.
Sagewood was not on the priority list.
Okay.
It's on
Originally.
there for the playground.
For the
Yeah.
playground, and I was looking through here, and I think the total cost, what was it, 1 point something million for Sagewood, so I feel like
Yeah, 1.3.
that's doable if we go through, fine tooth comb it, see where we
Okay.
can cut costs.
So if we name those 4, and in order of priority, William Houston, and then, was it Willow Creek North was the second priority?
It won't matter because we're just,
Okay, all right, so it is the advisement of the Parks Board that the city prioritize improvements at the following parks: William Houston, Willow Creek North, Highland Station, Sagewood, with emphasis on bringing aging playground equipment up to safety standards, adding pickleball court offerings, and trail infrastructure. Is that broad and simple and specific enough? Okay.
I might vary on the trail infrastructure to trail connectivity.
Connectivity, okay? Strike infrastructure. Add connectivity.
did you get that, Brack? Parks, pickleboard, parks, pickleboard trail.
All right, I feel really good about that. How does everybody else feel? We feel good about that?
Good.
Okay. Brack, do you think there's anything else that you guys would want to see from us, or anything else like that, or you think that's good?
I would encourage as many of you as feel necessary to attend tomorrow night's meeting to do so. That way, I'm not just speaking on your behalf. I don't mind doing that. But it resonates more with council when you show a concerted effort to show up and to say your piece.
Absolutely.
So, as many of you as want to show up for that, I would encourage it.
So if you show up once, does that mean you have to keep showing up to voice your opinion for them to listen? I'm just saying. Because, the council meeting?
Okay, we feel good. Just off the top of your head, does anyone else think that they will be able to attend tomorrow? I will be there. Okay.
I will try and be there, but,
I mean, it's last minute schedules. I completely understand. That's why we had this meeting. So I'm feeling really good. Does anyone have any other last remarks or anything regarding our statement or anything like that?
I've drafted a summary of what I heard as priority. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we vote on the statement. Okay.
A motion has to
Yeah, motion that we use that statement going forward to our statement to the city council.
A second.
Second, perfect. All right, and then we will vote. Perfect, and it passes. All right, great work, everybody. I did have one more question regarding the 2021 bond video of completed projects that we had discussed in 2025. Where are we on making that video?
So I don't have any updates on that. I will have to speak to the communications team.
Okay.
But I can speak with them tomorrow and send out an update.
Okay, perfect, because I'm sure we would all like to have that video to showcase what we were able to accomplish with the 2021 bond funds to help educate people and let them know that we're using their funds responsibly and what all they can get out of it to help encourage voter turnout. So thank you so much, Maria. Okay. All right, does anyone have anything else before we adjourn?
I would just like to thank Kimberly Horn for coming out and
Absolutely.
presenting this. This is a lot to put together,
Oh,
to
yeah.
put before us, and so appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all are always amazing. Thumbs up. Okay, well then I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
You make the motion, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'm tired.
I know it's been a while. All right, and then we vote.
Oh, hello.
And it passes. All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good job, good job.
Well done.